Cape Coral prices are down right now, and that's the exact reason I'm telling you to pay attention. In this video, I'm going to break down the biggest developments in the city's history, which are breaking ground while the market sits at a buyer's window. So come with me, let's check out the 5 areas in Southwest Florida that will most likely explode in the next 5 years. Before I name the areas, let me tell you how I'm scoring all this. The way I look at any market here is pretty simple, so it'll be easy to keep up with. I want to see 4 things lining up at the same time: big infrastructure money going in, real job growth, a pipeline of new construction, and prices that look like a deal next to the markets around it. When all 4 show up in the same corridor, that's when prices start to move seriously. Okay, so the biggest force push on this whole region right now is RSW, our international airport that is in the middle of a $1.1 billion expansion. Suffolk Construction broke ground in late 2024 with the formal ceremony in March of 2025. They're building a brand new Concourse E with 14 gates, and the design can stretch to 19 down the road. When it's done, that adds room for up to 15,000 more daily passengers, but completion is set for November 2025. Still, that $1 billion going into the airport is a signal to every major employer and developer in Southwest Florida that the infrastructure here can carry real growth. RSW already moved more than 11.1 million passengers in 2025, which puts it in the top 50 airports in the country. Every time a company looks at putting a footprint down here, the airport is one of the first things they check. When we hit the timing piece in a few minutes, you'll understand this, but we have a bit more to see before that. So when you see $1 billion going into that airport, that's a big vote of confidence from the people whose job is to forecast growth. And every corridor I'm about to walk through floods into that one way or another. Drive Burnstow Road right now, and it feels like the rest of Cape Coral hasn't caught up yet. They got open lots, quiet streets, and a bunch of construction trailers parked at intersections that didn't exist 3 years ago. Take a look at it. Now, this is a corridor that's about to change, and that corridor consists of Northwest and part of Southwest Cape Coral. This is where I'm paying the most attention, and where you want to do the same if you're looking to buy over here. Cape Coral is already one of the fastest growing large cities in the country. The population sits at around 251,000, growing close to 4% a year, which is a big number for a city this size. It's also the second biggest city in Florida by area, so there's literally a lot of ground to cover. And the northern corridors are where the biggest catalysts are landing. They have 3 projects, all approved, all moving forward right now. The first one, also the biggest one, is Coral Grove. This will be the new downtown. For decades, people here have been asking for a real town center, a place to gather, to walk to dinner without crossing a bridge. They finally heard us. Coral Grove is a $700 million project on 131 acres along Pine Island Road between Chiquita and Burnstow. We're talking more than 350,000 square feet of retail, dining, and entertainment here. They're building a 125-room hotel, a live music venue, a bowling alley, public gathering spaces, and farmers markets. Oh, did I mention there's also a solid residential build out on top of all of that? It's all people asked for and more. That's why the city's projecting close to $1.2 billion in total economic impact over time. Thousands of construction jobs and around 1,000 permanent positions once it's open. Infrastructure work already kicked off in Q1 2026, but the vertical construction is set for the 3rd quarter. Still close though. The city manager went on record calling this transformational, and I agree with him 100%. This is the biggest thing Cape Coral has ever seen. Now, the second project I'm looking forward to is Hudson Creek. This one is also huge. We're talking over 1,700 acres, huge, along Burnstow Road and Wilmington Parkway. The city council approved it unanimously in October 2025, and the plan calls for up to 3,500 homes, with around 2,500 of those being single family. On top of that, they want 425,000 square feet of retail and restaurants, a 500-room hotel piece, and resort-style amenities throughout. All those utilities are expected to be in place by 2027 when the build-out starts to roll. Now, full disclosure, there are concerns from current residents about traffic on Burnstow Road as this rolls out. And I'm not trying to discredit any of that. I'll always be upfront about these things. But infrastructure tends to catch up with growth, and the city knows those roads are going to need more capacity. Okay, moving on. The third project is called Seven Islands, which is the waterfront one. About 47 acres in Northwest Cape Coral on the water, and again, the city council voted 7-0 to approve it in January 2026. The vision is a marina with waterfront restaurants, an hotel, and a lot of mixed-use space. Still though, Seven Islands is still in the vision and approval stage, so there's no construction yet. But the green light is on, and looking back, that's when the price movement starts. By the time the restaurants are open and the boats are docked, prices have already jumped. This is a good time to talk about pricing, because if all this is happening, why aren't prices already going crazy? Median sale prices are sitting in the low 300s to mid 300s, off about 4 to 5% from a year ago. Some folks see that headline and figure the market is correcting, so they should wait. But I see it different. What I see is a market that cooled off at the same time the new developments are landing on the ground, which means we're in an entry window. Inventory in Cape Coral is high, and buyers have leverage leverage they haven't had in years. So the timing question is whether you buy in before the Grove opens or after. That decision is what gets answered over the next few years. Now, K-Pro runs on catalysts, but the next market I want to talk about is built on something completely different. Real quick, before we get into the specifics, if you're already running the math on the move down here, I work with relocators and investors targeting these corridors every day. So my contact info is in the description if you want a deeper look at your situation. Alright, let's get back. I used to live in Lehigh Acres, and my parents still live there. So when I talk about this market, I'm not pulling from a report. I lived everything, and I still drive through it quite often. What Lehigh gives you is hard to find anywhere else in this metro right now. And no, I'm not just saying that just to say it. What it has is relative value, space, and freedom from a lot of the red tape you'll find in coastal cities. But let's look at the historical reality. Over the last 10 years, Lehigh has appreciated by over 130%. I could stop right there. Come on now. And it's appreciated because Lehigh offers something the rest of the metro can't. You can still grab a quarter acre or more without going crazy on price. You can piece together a couple of lots if you want a bigger footprint. The grid goes all the way back to the 1950s and 60s, so the lots are bigger than what you'll find in most modern subdivisions. And a lot of Lehigh is still non-HOA. I'm telling you, those fees add up month to month, even the ones that are under 100. If you're a contractor and you need to park a work truck at home, you can't do that in most coastal communities. If you've got a boat, an RV, a trailer, or equipment for your job, you've got a real problem in a master plan community with strict deed restriction. In Lehigh, it's your space with the ability to do many things with it. That kind of lifestyle is getting harder to find in Florida. And don't forget about that timing piece. We're almost there. It changes how you'd approach all four of these markets. Back to Lehigh for now. So who's buying here right now is mostly the worker who commutes to Naples or Fort Myers. Fort Myers is about a 20 to 30 minute drive, and Naples is more like 35 to 45 minutes via I-75 South. That's a doable commute when you're getting a bigger house for less money on the other end. More than worth it. On price, so you have more of an idea, you're looking at median sale prices in the low 300s. Now, this market has corrected harder than the others, off about 6 to 9% depending on the sort. But that correction is also what created the entry window I'm talking about. About a third of Lehigh homes are equity rich, meaning the owners have 50% or more equity in their property. So there's a market that ran hot, cooled off, and is sitting at an attractive entry point for the buyer who values land and freedom over walkable amenities. If you've ever wanted a piece of Florida that still feels like Florida, with your truck in the driveway and your boat in the yard, Lehigh is that kind of place. And at this price level, it's worth paying attention to. But that's one side of the value equation in Southwest Florida. The other side is happening down south, where money is flowing in from one of the priciest markets in the state. Naples has a problem. The median sale price for a single family home up there is well north of $900,000. That price tag pushes buyers north, straight into two of the most interesting markets in Southwest Florida right now. Those being Bonita Springs and Estero, and they're connected, so I want to talk about them together. Bonita Springs has become the spillover market for Naples. People want the lifestyle without the same hit on the budget, so they end up just up the road in Bonita. Bonita's median sales price is sitting in the high 500s, pretty much the same as a year ago, and the sales volume is picking back up. In March of 2026, we saw close to 200 homes sold, well up from the year before. Back in the summer of 2025, this was clearly a buyer's market. Not too long ago, inventory was way up and price reductions were everywhere. And right now, that window is closing. By spring of 2026, prices have stabilized and the data is showing a recovery in sales. So if Bonita's been on your list, the leverage you would have had a year ago is fading fast. But the bigger angle here, the one that jumped out when I dug into the data, is Estero. Estero is showing the strongest buyer momentum of any market in Southwest Florida right now, and I mean any. Pending sales in April of 2026 were up almost 57% year over year, which is the strongest pending growth in the entire region. The dollar volume was up 28% and homes for sale are down more than 20%. And the price is still working off the 2022 peak, sitting around the mid 400s, which is our early entry signal right there. To cap it all off, transactions are speeding up before prices have fully moved. So why is Estero pulling all this demand? Kinda random, no? Nope, because the setup around it is unmatched. Hertz Global Holdings has its world headquarters right in Estero at 8501 Williams Road. That's a Fortune 500 employer with an LEED Gold headquarters sitting in this town. Gartner has its second biggest US office in Fort Myers with more than 750 associates, and it's their largest sales office in the world. A lot of those Gartner people live somewhere between Estero, Bonita, and Fort Myers because that's where the lifestyle is. Arthrex, the global orthopedic medical device company, has its world headquarters in North Naples, about 10 miles south of Estero. That's one of the largest private employers in the Naples to Bonita corridor. And then you got Florida Gulf Coast University sitting right in Fort Myers but close to Estero. FGCU has been growing nonstop since it opened in '97 with around 16,000 students today. A growing university anchors a community in a way that's different from a single employer. Nonstop housing demand, retail demand, restaurant demand, service demand, all of it year after year. Now stack on top of that Coconut Point in Estero with 150 plus stores and restaurants. Miramar Isle is right at the intersection of I-75 and Corkscrew Road. Southwest Florida International Airport, less than 10 minutes from Central Estero. Put yourself in the shoes of a professional working at Hertz, Gartner, or Arthrex. One who wants new construction, restaurants walkable from home, an easy run to the airport, and access to a university. You're going to land in Estero. Estero. And that's the buyer pool and why pending sales are surging. Which brings us to the real question every buyer should be asking right now. How do you time an entry into a market that's about to move? There's a rule that runs every emerging market I've ever watched. Every milestone that gets hit, risk goes down and price goes up at the exact same time. What I mean by that is a road that gets paved, a utility line that goes in, and a commercial anchor that opens. On a bigger scale, the growth cuts its ribbon and Seven Islands lands its first restaurant on the water. All that to say that each one of those moments shifts the math against the buyer who waited. That's the rule we're operating under right now. Buyers in these growth corridors still have time, not unlimited. So take your time, but act fast. Remember, I told you earlier I'd show you the most underpriced asset in Southwest Florida right now. Here it is, the lots, the new construction, and the resale inventory sitting in the path of these catalysts before they're fully built. 5 years from now, those 3 Cape Coral projects will be open or close to it. The Gardner, Hertz, and Arthrex talent pool will keep pulling families into Estero. And prices across these corridors will reflect every bit of it. The math on getting in now is whether you'd rather buy in a market with construction noise and uncertainty or a finished market that's already absorbed all the upside. Each of the 4 markets we walked through has a window open right now, but every one of those windows now is a little bit every week. At the end of the day, the right move could be the one you can hold for the next 10 years and feel good about it. If you're ready to look at specific properties in any of these corridors before the next round of milestone guest hits, email me at german@swflhouses.com and I'll send you a custom shortlist for your budget and timeline. If this video showed you where Southwest Florida is exploding, the next one shows you exactly where it isn't. The pockets where homes are sitting longer than they should and the real reason why. That's all from me today. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.